Marjorie Taylor Greene is taking her Jewish space lasers expertise and applying it to hurricanes. She's in explanation mode after her post about how they were manipulating Hurricane Milton to damage Republican areas was met with ridicule. Well, here's her proof, where she said, everyone keeps asking, who is they? Some of them are listed on NOAA, as well as most of the ways weather can be modified, because they're required to report it to the Secretary of Commerce by the Weather Modification Act of 1972. The NOAA government website has a library catalog of 1,026 entries of weather modifications, but that's not all of them. If your home or business or property is damaged or a loved one is killed by their weather modifications, shouldn't you be eligible for compensation? After all, did they ask you if you agreed to our weather being modified? And what her links showed was that the NOAA requires anyone engaging in weather modification projects to report their activity to the government, and it details the kinds of things that may be done to attempt to affect things like increased rainfall. She probably figured that people would only read that weather modification exists, and since folks like her said that the government is attacking Republicans by brewing Category 6 hurricanes off the coast of Florida, they'd be sold, just like she hoped people would start drinking raw cow's milk, until others pointed out that her raw milk phase could result in death over multiple kinds of bacteria that can be found in it. It was enough to force the president to correct the record on this and the other lies that they're telling.
Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either. They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about? Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop.
But she knows that all she has to ask her base is, who are you going to believe, old man Biden or me?
The reason why the Democrats want Kamala Harris is because she'll be a leader just like Joe Biden. It's just a figurehead. While the unelected bureaucrats, people like Jake Sullivan, people like Antony Blinken, people you've never even heard their names are the ones that are really running the country and truly devastating America. And that's why they're supporting Kamala Harris for president, because she's not intelligent enough and she doesn't have the character and the makeup to know how to lead. This is a woman who's received a taxpayer-funded government paycheck her entire career. President Trump never took a paycheck when he was 4 years for president, and he's a successful businessman. He knows what we go through, and he understands the abuse by the federal government. And so people know it. Everybody knows the difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and we want a great president back again.
The notion that Trump is a successful businessman is the only lie you need to hear to understand that they just make things up and repeat it nonstop, despite the reality that it's in front of us. You know, I'm sorry, but what's the purpose of Representative Greene's hype man in that video? Other than to stand there nodding to silently suggest to their targets that they should join in on the mindless agreement.
We have got another great, strong woman leader in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know we're in her district. Where's Marjorie? Please say hello. Now, you may not know this, but one of the very first endorsements, and frankly the first really important endorsement that I got, was when I was running in the Republican Senate primary in Ohio a few years ago, was from Marjorie Taylor Greene. So she's been a great friend of mine. She's a loyal person. And you guys have a hell of a congresswoman here in Marjorie.
You notice any helpful policy or accomplishment that they mention about each other when they're promoting themselves at these rallies? Because the admirable principle in the MAGA party is blind loyalty and returning political favors having nothing to do with improving voters' lives. There's no variance of opinion or approach in Trump's party.
The people of Pennsylvania have to tell Kamala Harris that we've had enough. We think you're a horrible person. We think you're a liar. And right? We think you're a liar. We think you're not a smart person, and we're tired of having stupid people run our country.
This campaign is being run like a cliquey group of middle schoolers, where the leader tells everyone that they don't like the nerdy kid at lunch. We think you're horrible and a liar. We think you're a stupid person with a stupid face. He went through a bunch of things he's telling them to believe about his opponent rather than showing them any facts for them to come to those conclusions. It's all suggested, even directed for them to believe. And the assists come from political allies in government and from agreeable media figures who worked loudly to erase Trump's actual history of doing exactly what he accuses others of.
Saying we gave your disaster relief money to people who are here undocumented is A, a lie, and it B, obviously creates a narrative that is inaccurate and dangerous.
What pot are the immigrants getting the money from?
The shelter services pot.
Oh, a different FEMA pot. But it's a FEMA pot.
Yes, but
yes or no?
What you are accusing Joe Biden of is
FEMA
actually
pot.
the thing that Donald Trump did in 2019. Ooh. That's what happened. He was the one who moved money out of the disaster relief fund.
Don't you see what's happening here?